Welcome to this session at Cranfield School of Management. Welcome wherever you are in the world. My name is Toby Thompson. I work here at Cranfield. I do this kind of thing, TV studios. I'm joined today by Professor Michael Dickmann.
Hello everyone.
Who is, I think, someone you want to hear from in terms of the course that you're talking about here. And Dr. Leila Alinaghian, who's also on this program too, and we'll talk more to Leila and Michael as we come. And coming up in this hour, or 45 minutes, depending on the questions that you have for us, coming up in this next period are two real-life students to whom you can ask questions as to what's it like studying at Cranfield. If you don't believe Michael or Leila, and I'm sure you will, you sure can ask questions about what's it like studying and living at Cranfield University. Crucial questions. If it's not obvious already, we do want your questions. Please find the chat function somewhere down here on the video panel. It's a speech bubble. Find that and send us a text chat message. If you're at all curious, just say hi on text chat and I'll say hi back because we're going to feed off of your questions. So find a way of doing that and practice a bit more. We've got some videos coming up in this hour and some slides as well. So Michael, I'm going to hand to you first of all. Tell us first of all who you are and introduce yourself if you could.
All right. I'm Professor Michael Dickmann. I am a specialist in international human resource management and I'm the director of the Masters in Management.
Okay. And Leila, if we can go to Leila. Leila, first of all, if you could tell us your role in this whole program, please.
I'm Leila Alinaghian. I'm a senior lecturer and course deputy director. Brilliant. Working along Michael.
Leila, thank you very much indeed. So people logged on will be what? Interested in the course? Poised to come on the course? Do you know the audience that we're dealing with here?
I hope that people who are logged on have now shown that they're interested in the course. I would love them to understand what this course is about and to obviously strengthen the interest.
Okay, so say more about the course. Who's it aimed at? What are we looking at on this course?
Well, we are looking at people who have realized that lifelong learning is really, really important to them. Okay, the typical student on the course has a first degree. Normally about 40% or so have already a managerial degree. Another 40% have an engineering background. And the rest are wonderful people who have broader interests and have studied something else. So we've had Formula 3 racing drivers on the course. We've had an Olympic gymnast on the course. Wow. And a few other people who then do really well on the course, to be honest. Yeah.
So people are early in their career, and I'm assuming that's you guys here. Why should they come to Cranfield to continue business education? Maybe they're thinking they're finished with education already.
Yeah, but it goes without saying that lifelong education is really, really important. But let's just look at what's happening in the world. We describe this as the new VUCA world. That's volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. Yeah, the VUCA world. And you can see it around when you look at what's happening in terms of global warming and environmental disasters, what's happening to reorganizations of organizations, etc., etc. What people need to do is to be able to successfully master these challenges. And in reality, we are enabling mastery, we are supporting students on 3 different levels. One is an individual level, to be able to run your own career and all these sorts of competencies and capabilities that you need. One is an organizational level, how to successfully manage organizations and lead them. And the third one is taking account of our responsibility to our societies and the world. So it's about sustainability and responsibility as you as an individual working throughout your life.
That last one sounds very ambitious and very big. How does that manifest exactly on this course?
All right, so let me give you an example. Okay, this is January, we've just had Davos, the meeting of business leaders from around the world.
World Economic Forum.
Yeah, the Economic Forum. So what did they talk? Most of these guys talk about business and economics. And then you had people like Greta Thunberg coming, talking about a totally different vision of the future around our responsibility in this burning house, as she
Inspirational,
called it.
I would say.
Yeah,
Inspirational.
yeah, absolutely. And the point of this is there are two, you had clashes of those two parts, quite definitely with President Trump and Greta Thunberg. What we are trying to do is to make people understand the bigger picture, their responsibility within it, but equip them to lead their organizations down the right path. And therefore, we have a range of elements. Leila is going to tell more about those in a moment, but a range of elements about corporate sustainability and responsibility, around leadership, around change management, that enables people to understand their environments and then lead their organizations into the right direction.
Leila's going to come on to talk about the course in detail, but that sounded a little theoretical. Are we looking at a theoretical program here, or is it practical?
Okay, so our motto in Cranfield is knowledge into action. We are an extremely practically oriented organization, right? So what we're doing is maybe the two other levels I can tell this.
Please.
On an individual level, what you would do on this course is to join the course. You have a range of modules that we're doing, but key to some of those is your personal development. So for example, in organizational behavior, it's about understanding yourself through the use of psychometrics, understanding your impact on others, and how you can increase that impact. Basically, this is your leadership journey. We're doing this module has been acclaimed throughout the world. It's always very high in the Financial Times ranking. But it is part of our spirit of making you a better leader, not just a better manager, right? Every time that we use models and frameworks, we tend to do this because after all, there is some theory component on the program, and then transfer it into, so what does that mean in practice? Yeah? About 3/4 of everybody who are going to teach you are people like me who have a background in business before they join Cranfield. So then you go onto an organizational level, and on that organizational level we have, again, skills and knowledge and capabilities that we teach around operations management, marketing, strategy, project management, and so on, to enable the students to really work with organizations in a successful way. And also put things into practice again, not just within those modules, where we have a range of games, role plays, cases.
Wow, yeah, that sounds fun.
But also in terms of components around consultancy with organizations for organizations.
I think Leila's going to be talking about that later on. You mentioned background there, a bit about your background. What do you think the background of the students wanting to come on this program is? What's a typical student for this program?
A typical student is probably about 22 to 24 years old. We have this year, I can tell you this year, we have 40% European students and 60% rest of the world students, and we cover the Americas, Africa and Asia in these. This year not from Australia, but sometimes we could. The gender mixture is pretty equal, yeah? Roughly 50%, a tiny bit more men than women. So it's highly international. We've got about 20 different nations on the course. As I said, 20 to 24 years old, background in engineering and management or others. And students appreciate the highly practical focus. I haven't spoken about the internship yet and so on, but Leila will. And then want to go back into business, often into consultancy, but so part of it is consultancy, part of it is join their own business, because a lot of them have a family business, or go and work in the UK or somewhere else in middle management roles.
Okay, we're going to come on to Leila very shortly, but you have your first question from the audience, so thank you for that question. Keep those questions coming. Okay. And possibly Leila will pick this one up, but what are the job prospects after this degree like?
Okay, I personally think really positive. About 95 to 100%, it varies every year, of our students have a job 3 months after they finish the course.
That's good.
Okay. and I'm sure Leila will cover this in terms of the internship that a lot of companies offer employment during the internship.
You've heard a lot about Leila so far, so I'm going to go to Leila now, and I think here's the chance to find out more about the details of the program. Please keep those questions coming. We thrive on your questions. So Leila, can I hand over to you, please?
Thank you, Thoby. Right, I'm delighted to welcome you all here. Thank you for joining us today. So what I'm going to do now is to kind of give you a bit of background about the School of Management, where the MSc in Management is delivered. We're going to talk a little about the course structure and content. I'd like to take you through a few highlights of the course. And in the end, I'd like us to spend some time to talk about internships. As Michael mentioned, that's a very unique aspect to this course that we're very, very proud of. And we make sure that we leave plenty of time for your questions. That's why we are mainly here today. Right, so a little bit about the School of Management. I mean, Cranfield School of Management is one of the oldest business schools in Europe. In fact, we celebrated our 50th anniversary about 2 years ago. We are one of the group of business schools that hold triple accreditations of EQUIS, AMBA, AACBS. It's called the Triple Crown accreditation, and it's held by less than 1% of business schools in the world. So it is an absolute pleasure to be part of such an elite group of business schools. As Michael mentioned, there is this big emphasis on you as an individual at Cranfield School of Management. There is this strong message that runs through all of our courses, and that's about be true to yourself and kind of be aware of yourself, and more importantly, the impact that you have on others. That's why perhaps Cranfield is famous for its personal development, yeah, that's something that we very there is a big emphasis at Cranfield, because we believe an effective manager does need a great deal of self-reflection and perhaps observation and growth. Over the last 50 years, Cranfield School of Management has been working very closely with industry to turn management research into value for organisation. So we're married to industry in so many ways, from consulting projects to sponsored research to executive development programs, all the way to providing organisation with interns, and that's where you would come in, because with the increasing number of talents, organisations would like to make the best use of available talent in the market. So that was just a brief overview of the School of Management. Our MSc in Management's been ranked top 3 over the last 3 years by economists. We've been ranked number 6 in the UK in the recent QS ranking, and we believe that really rewards and perhaps highlights some of the unique aspects of the course that we've been passionately developing over the last few years. Right, as Michael mentioned, our aim in this course is to equip you with the skills and knowledge to be able to tackle real life problem, tackle complex management problem, and prepare you really for your future role. To assure the practical orientation, the course is co-designed by senior advisors and industry professionals, and we deliver the course through a blend of case studies, simulations, consulting, and more importantly, 3 months internship in a real organisation.
You're going to say more about that, I'm assuming.
Yes, we're going to get to internship. We're going to spend more on internship in a few moments. But also to say that the course is accredited by Chartered Management Institute, CMI. That's the only professional body in the UK that perhaps promotes high standards in management and leadership. So gaining that professional qualification along a degree can really give you that perhaps competitive edge in the market. All right, a quick look at the structure of the course. This is how the course is organised. So we organise the course in 4 terms. The first 2 terms we really try to cover the fundamental and important topics in management and leadership, from accounting and finance to economics to operations, marketing, and to more softer aspects of management, perhaps organisation behaviour, people management, and indeed, as Michael mentioned, the sustainability aspect of business. So we do have a module on corporate sustainability, leading corporate sustainability. That's great fun. You do play a game, a scenario exploration game, which is always great fun to see how the world would operate perhaps in 50 years' time, and what the role of you as a citizen, as an organisation, and perhaps a government will be in that. You have choices as well, so you've got 6 elective modules that you can choose from, so 3 electives. The idea is really for you to sort of explore a topic that perhaps you're interested, or kind of deepen your knowledge about a topic that you already know about. Again, all of the modules are delivered in a very, we have a very practical approach to teaching and learning. We play simulation games, for example, in one of those. I'm going to touch on effective cross-cultural management module in a moment, because that's outstanding in a way that it's not taking place in Cranfield. But as you can see, term 3 and term 4 are rather thin, because the focus is on finding internships and doing the consulting project. Yeah, so that's basically how the course is organised in as a snapshot. I'd like to kind of take you now through a few highlights. As Michael also mentioned, so we do have a module on management consulting, and this is one of the highlights that students always talk about, because you actually get involved in a real-life consulting project, often with a well-known organisation whose executive will meet with you. You will be given a brief, and you have to work on a problem. So for a few weeks in teams, you have to learn about the problem, gather data, gather evidence, perhaps apply the tools and frameworks that you learn throughout the module, and come up with sort of innovative, pragmatic, and more importantly, achievable solutions. So we worked in the past with Citibank, where they wanted to explore perhaps the role of digital media in learning. They were really pleased with what the students done, and it was fantastic insights for our students as well. We worked with Ernst & Young as well in the past, where they wanted to explore perhaps how you can engage millennials in the workplace. So yeah, it's great fun. It's very practical. You have to present back to the client, and it's kind of an excellent experience, I believe.
Leila, can I interrupt you there for a second? There's a question come in about possibly your previous slide. How many contact hours will there be on the course per day per week?
Right, okay, great question. So basically, we try to organise modules such that the students won't be in classroom more than 4 hours per day. Yeah, almost 4 days per week, 5 days per week. But there's a lot of group activities going on outside the classroom. So classroom contact hour is one thing, but perhaps more importantly is the group activities that the student engage with with their learning teams, perhaps. And a lot of activities, social activities also going on. But classroom contact hours, 4 hours per day.
Thanks, Leila. We'll come on to the social later on. Please carry on.
Fantastic. Okay. I said I'm going to touch on this effective cross-cultural management module, and it's very outstanding in a sense that it takes place in Granada in Spain. It is run and led by our one and only Professor Dickmann, and this is a module where you're going to explore the issues arising from working with multi-cultures, actually in domestic context, but perhaps in international context. It's a fantastic opportunity to sort of immerse yourself with the Spanish culture, and kind of as you are learning about the theoretical aspects of effective cross-cultural management. So it's always great fun. They come back refreshed, often tanned, that we're very jealous here. Right, and yeah, so you can follow student blogs as well on this effective cross-cultural management module, and learn about student experience firsthand. Finally, I'd like to touch on the student challenge. I mean, throughout the year, we promote a number of student competition and challenges. We'd love our students to participate in those challenges because simply to gain experience of working with people beyond the course. So, for example, last year we had Unilever came to Cranfield. The student had to form multidisciplinary teams with the students from engineering school and science school to solve one of the real-life problems of Unilever. And we're very, very proud of our MIM team who won the competition. They won £5,000. They were over the moon. And I'm pleased to say that this year as well, we've got 4 MIM teams in the final with Unilever Challenge. So yeah, fingers crossed and good luck to them. We also encourage students participate in challenges outside Cranfield. So this year we have 2 teams been nominated for ABC Cup in London that they are working on the challenge at the moment. So yeah, that's perhaps another highlight of the course. Super, and that would take us to internships. So the way we look at this internship, so that's a 3-month internship that you're going to do a project with a real organisation towards the end of your course from June to August. And you will write a thesis at the back of this internship for about 2 months from September and October. We do really see this as a continuation of your learning. We believe the learning loop's not going to be closed unless you put what you learn in classroom in practice within a real life context. So we work closely with companies to just attract their interest. We promote internships, we sit down with them to talk about the problems that they have, and we try to kind of carefully turn that into a project brief that's appropriate for our MSc students to do their internship and do their thesis. So the whole process, I mean, regardless of the outcome, is outstanding because that would prepare you for the real world. It's a true reflection of what's going on in reality, all the way from preparing your CVs, preparing for interviews, learning about how to deal with an interview with questions, case study question, throughout securing your internship. So we believe that process is an excellent opportunity to learn. But obviously, the great thing about it that you do your project in a real environment, and often the employers offer full-time employment to some of our students who've done internship in the past. So that's great chance for networking as well as your career. Just a couple of examples of the companies that we worked with in the past. So we worked with companies different sizes, different sectors, different locations. So about 97% of the students secured an internship. Last year we have 86% of all our students secured an internship, and that's a real achievement for us because that's such a complex process to manage, but we set ourselves such a big challenge because we believe in it. It's really enhanced the learning of our students. We've worked with a number of companies from consulting, from manufacturing sector, service sector, a specialized consulting as well as general consulting.
On that point, Leila, I've got a question from the audience. I'm interested in a career in consulting. Will this be the course for me? I guess the answer is yes.
The answer is yes. Yes, I mean, like I said, so you have a module on management consulting in term 3, but also internship opportunity. There is plenty of opportunity to just apply for a consulting job. I mean, like I said, regardless of the outcome, the process of preparing yourself to apply for a consulting company, preparing your CV, interviews and all that is phenomenal.
Okay. Wonderful. Leila, thank you very much. I think, Michael, you've got a point there that you'd like to add to what Leila was just saying there. Please go ahead.
Yeah, so last week we ran a networking event between alumni, students and companies. And what struck me was, for example, that the 4C associates came. This is a consultancy that does supply chain management consulting in reality. And it's been very popular amongst the students. And our students have been very popular for them. So they came with 4 ex-students of ours who all still work for them.
Wow.
One joining them 5 years ago, and the rest basically through the times, because every year they hire some people from us with their extended pipeline. But it's just one of the examples where
nice.
Consulting is actually quite important on the course.
Wow. I'd like to bring in now some of the students that we've got on the line, first of all, and I think Nick is the first one, because Nick, I think you've been involved in some of the activities that Leila and Michael have been talking about. It's worthwhile, if you can queue up your questions, to those of you in the audience, questions that you may have for Nick and Kalyani that we have joining us. Nick is the first. Queue your questions up because there's a chance to ask a real-life student. And Nick, you're joining us there. Tell us more about your experiences so far, and why did you choose Cranfield principally?
So first, hello there everyone, and I was actually sitting in your seat about this time last year. The 2 main reasons why I picked Cranfield were Well, first, I didn't just want to do any old career, and I felt there was a lot of pressure just to find a job. And I saw doing the masters as a way to step back and not have to find a job, but be able to pick the job I wanted to do. And I can mention a bit more about that later. But the second reason was I wanted to go to university where I could be part of something slightly bigger and a university which had close connections to business. And I actually wrote to 5 Cranfield alumni and 5 alumni of the other business school I was considering. And I was really impressed because the Cranfield alumni's response when a complete stranger wrote to them was really positive, proactive, and they all advocated going to Cranfield and said that I'd be mad not to come.
Well, that's excellent feedback, Nick. Thank you. And one cheeky question there. Where do you think you will end up as a result of this course?
So I'm quite lucky, and I heard someone talking about consultancy earlier. I'm going to be working as a consultant for a company called Newton Europe next year. I had the application process last semester before Christmas and found out I got the job just before Christmas, an early Christmas present. But I definitely feel that Cranfield prepared me perfectly for career in consulting. It was really 3 different things there. First was the hard skills. So Newton specialises in operations consulting, and I've actually not had as much work experience as other candidates potentially. But during the interview, I could talk about the operations module, and actually the assessment for the operations module is finding a local business and working out a way where you can improve the efficiency of their processes and change and solve one of their business problems. And being able to talk about that during the interview was fantastic. The second aspect is definitely the soft skills and the interpersonal skills I've developed whilst at Cranfield, and having the confidence to be able to work with others, which helped me get through the assessment centre. And third and finally, going beyond just the course, the careers team was ridiculously helpful from day one, whether it be working on my CV, going through an entire cover letter with me to make certain that all the wording was fine, and really giving me the confidence to go forward. And in fact, for the final interview, they arranged a specialist to come in, sit and talk to me about consulting interviews and make me feel really prepared so that I wasn't nervous going into the interview and that I could be my best self. And so I wouldn't have got that if I hadn't come to Cranfield.
I think that's amazing. Before Michael has his question, I've got one last cheeky question. There's a question from the audience member here about getting part-time work whilst at Cranfield. I don't know whether that applies to you. Have you had a chance to do that whilst you're studying at Cranfield?
So I'm quite lucky. One of the activities which I'm engaging with, and I don't know if this answers the question precisely, but I'm one of the student ambassadors. So I'm working part-time with the university and actually getting paid for it whilst being a student to engage with prospective students. And that's a good way of getting some part-time work in, and the university makes that very easy to apply for and get involved with.
Fantastic, thank you for that. Michael, I think you have a question there for Nick.
Yes, Nick, first of all, thank you very much for actually coming on. Tell us more about your experience so far. So we've heard the job experience, great, but tell us more about the actual studying experience at Cranfield.
So starting with the studying experience, you have what you expect, which is a lot of courses. Lecturers I've found completely world-class. For me, there's a memory which really sticks in my head in first semester, where our accountancy and finance lecturer came in, and he had literally just been teaching accountancy and finance to HSBC before teaching us, and having that connection between lecturers and business, it means that they can bring the classes alive. The second part of the experience, which I've really enjoyed, is working with lots of different people from different cultures and different backgrounds. The majority of the work you take for some of the early assessments is done in a learning team, and in my learning team I've got Chinese nationalities, Romanian, Bulgarian, Indian and French. Wow. And it's absolutely fantastic because we're all coming to problems from a different perspective, and it's learning not just how that perspective can be useful, but why different nationalities have formed that perspective, and having to work through some of the problems that raises. I think that type of learning environment is not something you're going to get at many other universities. And for me, it's definitely been the highlight. And often those working relationships have become friendships beyond just our studies.
Brilliant. Nick, thank you. Stick around because we want to come back to you. We're going to go to Kalyani next. But Michael, I got a question for you. It sounded like from what Nick was saying there that you're kind of left, or you're left to deal with yourself. You've got to get on with it. How much looking after do you do for students?
Oh, all right. Okay. I first thought you meant all this cross-cultural work,
Well,
and now I'm taking them to Granada.
Did Nick have to create his
Okay.
did Nick
He's
create
already
his group, or did you do that for him?
Okay. No, we put everyone into a learning team, and we create the teams. Some of the principles are around, diversity. You can hear that. Okay. But every team has a academic tutor, so we help teams to perform and to work with. So our academic tutors meet with the teams over lunch normally, and then chat about the issues that go on. We have social events, but what we try to do is a good balance, and that is every year has student reps, and there might be some sort of president. We have social reps and so on, and these help us to interlink with each other, but also to just simply do social events, to learn, to get to know each other better and start the networking.
So it's not just study. There's a life at Cranfield here as well on the program.
You would believe it, yes.
I believe it.
No, so there's obviously a life that we help to create, but students are students, and so there's lots of activities that the students themselves do. For example, on Monday.
This coming Monday, the students have organized a football game. That's a female football game, so 2 female teams from the students play each other. Okay. Wow, this is a good opportunity to go to our next student. Kalyani, if I can address you first of all. I guess very similar questions to what we were talking about in terms of with Nick, but in terms of you deciding to come to Cranfield. Tell us more about your decision in what looks like your kitchen there. Where are you based, first of all?
I stay on campus in Fedden House.
Wow, I can see a fridge just behind you there. Tell us why you chose Cranfield, and what was that process like?
Okay, so the reason I chose Cranfield was because I've heard that it's the best place for entrepreneurs and people who want to enter into the top management levels of their family business. As I come from a family business background, I think Cranfield is the best place, and I feel after 4 months of having a great learning experience here, that is the best decision that I've made, because we get to interact with so many entrepreneurs. We have entrepreneurship speaker series where you meet people who have been through this journey and who have faced the challenges. You get to interact with them, network with them. And also the way the modules are being taught, it's very practical oriented. We have simulations like we had for managing operations, corporate sustainability, where you learn concepts and you apply then and there to understand how well you're doing and what you can apply and how you can do better in your business. So that's the reason, one of the main reasons I chose Cranfield was because it's a very practical oriented course, and the entire environment is something that makes you feel like, okay, you can do better. There are so many opportunities. You meet people from different backgrounds in different countries.
Wow, that's encouraging. And tell us more about the internship or the projects that you're involved in. How onerous, how difficult is that, or how much fun is that?
The projects that I've been involved in so far have been more, like Michael mentioned, regarding course reps. So I'm a part of the social media reps where we're trying to organize events and try and bring the collective participation of the entire cohort. I've also been participating in the Unilever Accelerated competition, which was launched by Unilever a month ago. And it's been amazing because we're getting to interact with the R&D department of the Unilever and learning a lot from them. The day before, I had a mentoring session by them. It's been a great learning experience. And I think it's fantastic because every day it's challenging and every day is like something new.
So that Unilever project, that's a real project, right? It's not something that Cranfield have made up. That's a real company project.
Yes, it's a real life business challenge that Unilever is facing, and it's a wonderful experience because it's something that you think out of box, something that makes you think every day, like every moment. Now, after that session, I've been thinking, okay, what next? What can I do better? So it's been amazing.
Wow, fantastic. Michael, I'm not sure if you have any questions for Kalyani in terms of the course design and how the support works.
Yeah, actually, Kalyani, first of all, thank you also for joining us. Maybe you can comment about how the course works for you, and I'm also interested in what's next. So what are your dreams and that you want to achieve through the course?
The course is very well designed. There are modules where you individually reflect on how much you've learned, like organization behavior and marketing modules. And there are modules where you interact and learn together as a group, where you work on real company situations and case studies. Uh, and the future that I see after finishing this course will be a person who knows herself better, because through the various modules that I have learned in Cranfield, I've realized what I have learned and where I can take this forward. So for me, the future will be to enhance and grow my family business and scale up the ladder of top management business school.
Well, Kalyani, thank you. Stick around, please, because we're going to come back to you if we have any more questions. I think, Leila, I think you've got there's a video that we could play there, but the video that we're talking about, is that regarding a particular student? What's that video that we can show shortly?
So the video we're going to watch in a moment is about, it's really a reflection of one of our clients called Finning. They are the largest cat dealer in the UK, working with Caterpillar machinery and equipment and so on. And they are kind of reflecting on the experience of having our interns at company, but also you get to hear about experience from students as well.
Great. Chris, if we could play that video. And if you're thinking about asking a question, now's a good chance to type that into the text chat box whilst you're watching that video. So please, Chris, go ahead with that video.
There's been a number of different benefits with the interns coming into the organisation. Primarily, we like the fact that there's a diversity of thought in the process, different backgrounds that the students actually bring, in challenging the way that a lot of us look at the things in the business in terms of the processes, the thought patterns, injecting a lot of new ideas as well. So there's been quite a broad area in terms of what those interns have actually brought to us, which has been very rewarding. So the types of roles that the interns are involved in are quite a broad spectrum. We've got about 21 different projects running currently, which we call priority value drivers. They run from everything to do with financial accounting, all the way through to high-tech transmissions from machines, looking at how we can track machines and getting diagnostics, through to big data and data crunching.
My project is mainly about people. It's called Equality, Inclusion and Diversity, and it's mainly about how to attract women into male-dominant professions.
This project covers different areas like supply chain management, operation management. It's very interesting, the project that can combine all of these different areas, because I can put in practice all of this theoretical knowledge.
And currently I'm working in the sales aftermarket department, which is that about create the customer value and added customer value to draw the mass connectivity between the technology and the company.
So far, my responsibility is to collect others' points, others' ideas from the engineers and the service controllers, and to do a benchmarking on these ideas. Then focus on the key areas that they mentioned about. Then do a brief analyze how we can achieve and solve problems that they arise, and also compare with the competitors, how the competitors do the things and how the market responds to these actions.
I represented Finning at an event called Aim High, which took place in Cranfield. It was very exciting for me, as I met a lot of women in leadership roles who I can look up to and made a lot of connections, and it would be also very beneficial when I start writing my thesis.
Yes, I quite enjoy working in Finning because I found that it is a fun place for me to learn and grow.
So my relationship with Cranfield, very fortunate to attend Cranfield many years ago. The working relationship started over LinkedIn, of all things, which saw an advert about internship. I spoke to the business in my role, particularly interested in creating new business transformation, and the relationship with Cranfield has grown ever since.
So during my time in Cranfield, I've worked within the teams. Mostly it was practical work, and it made things easier while working inside a team in a company.
So we've already found that process improvements, we've found some insights into things that we wouldn't have come across, and we're expecting some significant financial benefits actually in terms of the projects.
Leila, thank you for sharing that. There's a question coming in about preparation Maybe you're going to be talking about that video in a minute, but the question that's just come in is, what sort of preparation should I do for this course? Is there something I should be reading?
Should I do this?
Oh, Michael, sorry, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, so generally speaking, we don't expect people to have a business background. If you want to read general business books, that's fine. In fact, once we accept people on the course, they can have a reading list from us. Some people are worried about the mathematical skills that they need. And what we do is, in the first week, we actually test that.
Really?
Yeah.
An exam?
We have a little exam in the first week, but it's not scary, it's supportive in the sense of you don't fail or pass. What you do is we distinguish people who would benefit from extra support, and so then we give the extra support.
Wonderful. There's a question that's just come in. Is there an option of doing a minor degree in MSc in management while studying engineering at Cranfield? And there was a question previously about part-time, so is there a part-time option? If you can say a bit more about that.
To be frank, not really. We do have a part-time version, but for people who actually are in work basically 100%, 80%, and then come to us. That option is either only that you finish the first and then do the second. Okay, so we have some cooperation with some universities, including a university from Germany, Leuphana, and I believe some of you are here to listen in, so welcome. And there you have a combination either to do the Masters in Management on its own or as part of a 2-year master's course. So 1 year in Germany and 1 year here, but not at the same time.
So if someone's doing a master's degree in engineering at Cranfield, they couldn't do another one as well?
No.
Okay. I admire your courage to even attempt that. I don't quite know how that will be done, but impressive. Thank you. Leila, I'm not sure if there's any questions or any points that you want to add to what Michael's just said.
Yes, I mean, back to the preparation, what I would say, what we want you to do is just come on the course with an open mind, really. So there's not, it's good to have some sort of basic general knowledge of management, but we want you to be an active participant in the classroom. So the design of a classroom really encourages your active participation. You often know more than you would acknowledge. So what we try to do really is for you to sort of actively engage in conversation, draw on your experiences. We bring in our knowledge and experience, and we co-create something new that is unique to each classroom experience.
Leila, thank you very much indeed. I've got a question for Nick. Nick, if you're still there, and hopefully you are. If you had your time again, and you were preparing to come on this program, what sort of preparation would you recommend? What was your, what do you think people should have done, or you wish that you should have done, Nick? Nick, if you are, hopefully you are there.
So hopefully you can hear me at the moment.
We can hear you, we can't see you.
Hello there. So definitely a very, very good question. Just thinking about that for a minute, I don't know if this answers the question for you, but I too wanted to be really well prepared before I arrived on the course, and I took a slightly different approach. One of the things I really enjoyed in the summer before the course started was reading books by people in business who I found inspirational. I think a book which really stuck with me was a book about the founding of Nike, and just finding inspirational people who had interesting business stories, because whilst I've been at Cranfield, whenever I'm learning about a topic, I think, how would that person have been able to apply that experience, or how does it fit in? Just because my undergrad was not a traditional background. Well, I studied geography, so I hadn't had much exposure, and I found reading biographies and autobiographies of business leaders as a great way of just getting into the mindset of how all these different skills could be used during my time. So if anyone's looking for any good books out there, I'd really recommend the story of how Nike was founded. I can't remember the exact name of it, but it's an autobiography, and also the A to Z store, which is all about Amazon, and it made me really interested in operations and supply chain, which is what I'm going to be going in as an operations consultant next year as.
Nick, that's inspirational. Thank you for sharing that with us. And Kalyani, I'm going to come on to you in a second there, but you're just backing up your point. There's no particular preparation. You haven't got to read a giant textbook.
No,
that Nick has done.
Assume you start from the beginning.
Yep.
We cover all the basics, We cover them quickly, I have to say, and then move on, but we do cover the basics. So there is no assumption that people have to have read a certain thing.
So expect a bit of white water by the sound of it at the start of this course. It's not an easy ride. Kalyani, I wonder if I can come to you. Here's an audience, online audience, who are thinking of doing what you did last year, and you said that you were on this very same webinar thinking of coming to Cranfield. What would your advice be to prospective students coming on this course?
I think my advice would be to read as much as you can about what's happening across the globe. Keep yourself updated to latest news by companies, what kind of mergers and acquisitions are happening, and what's the situation regarding a lot of things in different countries. Because when you come here, you get to interact and meet with people from different countries. So if you're aware of something that's happening in their country with regard to business, economics, it helps you build a better rapport and you can interact with them. Also, I think you can come here with an open mind, because like Michael mentioned, they start with the fundamentals, so there's no need to panic. They build the fundamentals well, and then they go into the master level content, which is very good because it helps both kinds of students. Some people have experience, some people don't have experience, so it takes care of the entire levels of different people in the classroom. Also, I would recommend that decide on your accommodation as soon as possible. If you would prefer staying on campus, make sure that you apply as soon as possible, because once you're here, the first week it's a lot of things going on. You're trying to get settled with the weather, with the environment.
Sorry.
So settle yourself well, prepare yourself well before you come, finalize your accommodation, and then come here with an open mind. Yeah, and everything else taken care of, because in the first week, I remember Michael and Leila were so caring. They checked with everyone if they were doing fine, and they do it even today. They're great. They help us a lot.
Wow, that's wonderful to hear, Kalyani. Thank you very much indeed. I think I heard you say that don't panic, which is a crucial thing. So don't panic if you're thinking of coming on this one. I'm not sure if either of you can talk about deadlines. Is there a particular deadline for application? Kalyani mentioned there about accommodation. Say some more about that if you could.
Okay. So yeah, practicalities basically, right? So the course starts on the 28th of September this year. We do accept applications until relatively near that deadline. With one exception, we have got. So let me start earlier. We have such an overwhelming demand for the course. So we had more than 600 applications last year.
Gosh.
And in essence, we have 74 students. So there was a process of obviously screening applications and so on. The earlier you apply, the better it is for you, in one sense. But the component that Kalyani picked out is really important as well. This university is growing quite dramatically. We're very popular, and I believe because the quality of the courses is very high and the practicality of it is very high. And enabling people what we call credibility and capability. Credibility, you are at a good university and therefore you have a good chance in the job market. But capability over your lifetime, that's what we want to achieve. We want to make you a better reflective manager and leader, and that means over the lifetime you're learning to interpret your experience, you're learning to observe others and be a more reflective manager in your organization. That's highly important. It means we've become very popular, and it means to some extent that our student accommodation is filling up very quickly. Okay, the student accommodation really by about May, maybe end of April, May, is really that you should have applied, got hopefully an offer, and then apply for a student place. This assumes you want to live on campus, but some people don't. That's fine, but there's so much going on campus and among students. I personally think it's a better version. We are aware of this issue. We are building 600 new units for people to stay in, but unfortunately they are not ready yet. We're starting and we need another 2 years, 2.5, I think, to have finished this. So in the meantime, what people would benefit from, in my mind, is get their foot into the door. That reserving accommodation doesn't cost anything. To be honest, you can cancel it if you like, but go for it.
So hurry up.
Yeah, for practical reasons, hurry up, I guess. Yeah.
Well, thank you for that practical point. Leila, I'm not sure if there's any points that you want to leave with people at the very end of this thing in terms of coming to Cranfield.
No, I mean, I just look forward to welcoming you all on 28th of Sep. So we do have this orientation week where we've got a number of induction sessions, peer coaching session, social events that sort of helps you to settle in and prepare you for the course.
Leila, thank you very much indeed.
One
yeah, Michael, please, go ahead.
Let me compare some university environments, okay? Normally, in normal German universities, for example, your life is essentially about you are on your own. Okay, you join a university, you're meant to attend classes and work hard, but that's more or less where university stops. Mm-hmm. This year is about a community. We care for our students and we are very interested in community building per se. That's why we have all these social activities. That's why we put people into learning teams. That's why we interact. That's why we have a very strong career service to help people find a job. That's why we have one of the best, I think the Financial Times rated us as the best alumni networks in the world this year. And it is because we have a different perspective on education somehow here, right? And on responsibility. Now, wherever you are in the world, you know your local universities better than me, but there might be a difference. So prepare for it. I personally think it's a better difference, right? It's more
you would
caring
say that.
here. Of course I would. but then, you know, I can feel it. Okay, and I get the feedback from many students like that they say the difference is, what has impressed me most is A, you're much more practical than my earlier university, B, the community is strong and the networking, C, I really got good friends over time. So that's what I hear from alumni. Yeah.
Practicality, communication, community and support. Hopefully you take away those things from this session. We have no more questions so far from this audience. In terms of contact, who do they contact? Who are people talking to? I'm assuming there's an email address that people can come back to.
Leila, you have some? Do you have
yeah, we have the contact details on the final slides. If I can get, please.
Chris, if you can go to that final slide. Oh, there you go, Leila. So there's one extra slide. There you go.
Okay.
So please, any information that you would like, please contact that. I think you know that by now, otherwise you wouldn't be in this position. It just leaves me to thank you all for your time joining us today, wherever you are in the world. We really look forward to seeing you. September, I got that right? September or October? We look September. We really look forward to seeing you in September. Please keep those questions coming to the addresses that you see on the screen there. And thank you to Nick and to Kalyani for joining us this afternoon, taking time out of your busy, by the sound of it, schedule of lectures and consultancy projects. So thank you all, and we'll look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Juan.
Thank you. Bye.